Then throttle.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to D&D&D&D&D, campaign number 1, Under Locks and Keys. When we last left off, the party traveled into the Underdark Trench that pierces the central east of Ostiliant and is a breeding and feeding ground for crawling vermin that lurk in the dark. Making their way down into it, they found a small Bees Without Hives headquarters being operated by a small cluster of kobolds, who revealed that the Boomergangers' last numbers, sorry, my brain just got stuck on that word for a minute. The last numbers of the Boomergangers had already made their way through the trench, shooting their way past the vermin, and were planning to use dynamite to blow the location of the pistol open by any means necessary. In doing so, the surface where the river of Erwash runs through the elvish territory of Sherwood would likely flow directly into it and potentially flood the city. Not to mention taking away Avaben's adopted people's main water source and potentially destroying their way of life.
We didn't even think about that.
Mm-hmm. With both Avaben's birth and adopted families in harm's way, the party acted quickly, and while the Boomergangers, as promised, did get the drop on them with a trap, the party managed to turn it on its head, and with nary a scratch to show for it, managed to gun down 8 Boomergangers in one, with only 2 survivors. One of which appears to be another lieutenant carrying various grenades that Avaben managed to accidentally set off. With that,
all skill, no luck.
With that, between Avaben's dancing lights and Paul's gleaming blade, you all can actually semi-clearly make out your immediate surroundings. And as you all take a minute to breathe and collect yourselves after the battle, it is truly a scene of carnage. Broken bodies pile in the center from Boomergangers who fell through the cage that was meant to trap you in with the flood water. Broken glass and sparking electrical equipment curtail the top and shower down on you. The immediate area of the cavern you're trapped in, well, trapped is a strong word now, but is just a simple battleground of blood, body parts, and broken glass. With the Boomergangers having already surrendered, Greylog, do you release your hold on the Ahuls you had summoned?
No, not yet. Just in case if they try anything.
Okay. The Ahuls
they
flip
thought
back.
We were trapped in here with them. It turned out they were
trapped in here with us. The Ahuls flock back down to you, Greylog, before hanging themselves upside down on the chain ceiling and just starting to squeak to each other as they settle down from the battle. And the remaining Boomerganger, as their lieutenant, continues to cough and gag, and you can hear the sound of vomiting as they presumably force the last of the chemicals out of their body in the tunnel ahead. The remaining Boomerganger just stares down at all of you. Avaben and Paul's lights combined, managing to just barely light up a horrified face beneath their cultish hood. What would you all like to do?
Well, I'm actually on my way.
Avaben's going to look for the slot.
All right. Make an investigation check while you're doing that, Greylog.
I'm actually currently climbing the walls, heading to the top where the lieutenant is.
Oh.
Okay. Paul, you see Greylog in his spider form climbing the walls. Avaben heading towards them to start looking for a slot to open. What are you doing?
I don't really have. I can't see Jackal, and Hmm. I guess Paul will just try to find like a normal way up.
Okay. And real quick, how long does the light from your blade last?
1 minute.
Okay, noted.
All right, I got a 14, but I used my inspiration
Okay, noted.
because I rolled a 3, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to use inspiration so the plot can actually progress.
To be fair, I wouldn't just be a fucking dickhead and just trap you. I'm not gonna soft lock you because of luck of the draw. At worst, I'll kill you. But yeah, sorry, what are you doing, if anything?
Nothing. I'll just kind of hang back and let them all do whatever they want to do. I think Asari just needs to cool off.
All right. Sorry, you hang back at the entrance as Paul, holding their gleaming blade aloft, kind of surveys the surroundings. And Avaben, you start to check the walls, and Greylog, you start making your way up them. Paul, you don't see any obvious way up. However, you do see that each of the platforms that you guys shot down appears to have been connected to a tunnel. So it's likely that they came at this chamber from different directions than you did. So from where you are, there's no way up, but there obviously has to be somewhere the tunnel exits out that they could have taken.
Mm-hmm.
Greylog, once you make it to the top, and you said you want to approach the lieutenant, the cultist remaining, having dropped their weapon, just kind of nervously scooches away from you. But as you start approaching the tunnel where the lieutenant's just finishing hacking up his guts, lets out a, Lieutenant! And the figure turns around. Greylog allowing you an actual proper look at them that you hadn't really gotten before Avaben shot him. Or rather, he got caught in the blast of Avaben's shot. You see a figure in a green trench coat. Beneath it, a white muscle shirt. You can see a set of military tags around their neck, and they are wearing black arm guards with fingerless gloves. Their jeans are a light greenish brown and appear to be just simple working man's jeans with large black galoshes with orange bottoms. They have a gas mask in one hand that appears torn up and damaged from the shrapnel of Avaben's arrow, and the lenses of one of them is cracked, allowing you to actually see their face, which appears to be a very handsome elvish man with long blonde hair. And as they kind of and turn to look at you, seeing only a spider, they just scowl and surrender. You forgot to call off one of your beasts.
I can still talk in this form, right?
No.
I will drop the form then. I was coming up here to make sure that dynamite's taken care of, and also to help you get down if you need it, so you don't go splat like your compatriot.
Well, I'm afraid that I'm going to have to disappoint you on both fronts. We have our own way out of this godforsaken tunnel, and even your magic didn't touch our dynamite. It's up ahead in the tunnel. We were only here to get the artifacts you hold.
Then you all died pointlessly because we don't have them with us.
Why don't you just tell him everything?
Well, you're not there, so.
I didn't tell them where they are.
The elf kind of rolls his eyes, and, well, if you're done slaughtering my men and trying to
Can the
fight...
Vaven hear this, or is he too far away?
I'll say you can hear this. You can't see them, but I'll say you can hear it.
I'm sorry, who fired first? Or, well, who trapped who first?
If I recall correctly, one of my men attempted to negotiate before any harm was done and was shot dead.
But we both
Yeah,
know
but
that we probably were not
kind of
going...
the-
We both know that that was just a hollow gesture because you knew we weren't going to accept whatever you said.
Pardon me for thinking that 2 artifacts in exchange for the lives of 5 people was an acceptable trade.
And what would have you done when we told you that we didn't have it? You would have tried anyway because you'd think that we were lying.
If you don't want to get
There's
killed,
no-
maybe don't put yourselves in such situation. You don't
Yeah,
seem
and
very good
also
at it
don't-
anyways. You really should find a
Yeah.
different line of work.
Of course spellcasters would think that way.
I didn't cast a single spell. Well, actually, I did cast light. But I didn't kill you with any spells.
You don't need to. I know how you people think.
Oh, really?
You had no reason to assume that my negotiations were hollow. Because you are stronger than us, you acted first, to kill us all and claim what you wanted.
We had
So
no
you're
reason
wanting
to
to
believe your
be-
negotiations weren't hollow.
Exactly.
In case you haven't
and
noticed,
you
you're-
don't want us...
Are you not the people who showed up to this area and started killing everybody in your wake? With
Killing everyone who
guns that
tried
could
to stop
shoot.
us.
Killing people who had very good reason to be concerned about a bunch of armed men marching through their territory. And mind you, the people of Sherwood have constantly had problems with humans with guns marching into their forests.
If you're looking for sympathy, I suggest that you go crying to your mom. Because otherwise you're not going to get...
Oh, I'm not expecting sympathy from spellcasters. I'm not such a fool.
think
But-
that you're missing the point here. You were going to attack us regardless of what was going on here, because we do not have the artifacts. So you would have attacked us anyway because we wanted to stop you from, drowning everyone in this fucking city.
And then depriving the entire upper side of their river.
Which, by the way, is not a really good thing to do. Drowning a bunch of innocent people, not a good idea.
Oh, gods. Okay, let me fill you in, spellcasters. If you had accepted the negotiations we offered you, we would have searched your person and determined if you were lying or not. If you were telling the truth, we could have told you that the pistol's not here, and to leave the chamber so that we could seal it before blowing the tunnel. This chamber would make hardly a dent in the river's flow, and the pistol would be brought down here, where we would simply grab it and go. No harm done to the top side or to the Underdark.
What do you mean it's not here?
It's
Can I
not...
insight that?
Make an insight check. I
You
mean,
were told by the person you were
grabbing the dynamite.
negotiating with that it was here.
it can only be accessed from here, but it's not in this chamber. It's buried within the river silt of the river Airwash on the surface, but the river's current is too fast for any mortal to be able to reach it through the water. The only way to access it is to blow open this tunnel in the Underdark, flooding it, but the pistol will be brought down by the floodwater.
That was a 16 on insight.
At the very least, he seems to believe he's telling the truth. But you can't see his face, so you can't tell if there's any physical tells of what he's saying is false.
Mm-hmm. Is that what she told you?
Maybe you could have tried. Maybe you could have tried negotiating without springing a trap. I find that works a lot better.
If
And
this is
less blinding.
whatever helps you sleep at night, Dark Elf.
There's no version of this where you're the good guy. Stop trying to make the argument.
Yeah, seriously. It's really, really tiring.
It's starting to get annoying.
In that case, I will remove myself from your person. Come along. And the surviving cultist kind of hurriedly starts to pick himself up and kind of carefully climb his way across the chain roof to get to the other platform.
I found the bug.
Does he leave his weapon?
Which tunnel does? Where's this tunnel he's talking about?
Well, the tunnel that Greylog is currently in is on the right side.
No, the tunnel he was talking about.
Well, he's standing in a tunnel, so it's likely further down where he is, given that he was calling up it to set off the dynamite.
Okay. Then we're gonna go down that tunnel.
Let's figure our way up, though.
Okay, we were told this is how you get to it, so there is a way to get up there.
Yeah. We have to figure it out.
Where is it? Okay, let me roll to see where it is, so this plot can continue.
I still have control of my bats, right?
Yes. Should last for like at least.
Am I rolling perception?
Well, if you're trying to find a way up, then I'll say, well, since you rolled investigation, but it was mostly the dialogue that answered your last one, I'll let you apply your previous investigation roll to this. So we'll come back to you in just a moment.
Okay.
And you did summon beasts, right?
Yeah. Giant bats.
Yeah, so summon beasts lasts for whenever the wiki feels like loading. An hour as long as you maintain concentration. So
wait, was it summon beasts or conjure animals? Because you summoned bats, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so it's conjure animals.
So is conjure animals.
Yeah, but it's an hour still. It's an hour as well.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. So yeah, as long as you maintain concentration, you have control of these bats for an hour.
I can help y'all get up here if you'd like. And I'll have my bats start swooping down and picking them up and bringing them up.
Okay. The surviving cultist clambers onto the platform and kind of cautiously makes their way past you, Greylog, and kind of hides behind this more intimidating lieutenant who simply attaches his gas mask to his belt with it being broken. It's used to him, seems to have been served. And for those of you down on the bottom, do you accept Greylog's offer of a lift?
I do.
Sure.
I mean, Paul has no reason to distrust this. So.
Okay. The Ahuls, taking, again, similar to before with the Boomergangers, taking it in teams of 2 for each person, start lifting you guys up to through the hole of the chain roof and depositing you on the platform behind Greylog. And being carried by these Ahuls is a somewhat disconcerting experience, as their legs are rather small and you worry that they might be a little too flimsy, but they do have a dexterous enough grip on you. So it's a somewhat unsettling experience, but not one that ends up ultimately harmful. It's a little harder for them to work their way up through the hole without dropping you, but with a little bit of maneuvering in the air, they managed to pull it off. And at this point, once Paul, as the last one, as you are the heaviest, so it took them the longest, are deposited on the platform, the figure, this lieutenant, kind of looks over all of you briefly, seemingly just taking in your faces before patting the other cultist on the back. And as I said, we'll take our leave. And he puts a finger to...
Just one last thing. What do y'all expect to find behind that door with all the keys?
At this, he actually kind of tilts his head a little bit. And after a bit of consideration, a way to stop engagements like this from happening, from being necessary.
Have you heard the stories of that what might be behind there isn't in fact a treasure, but a curse?
In truth, it's neither. Unlike you, we have more sophisticated methods than magic and myths to get our information. What is behind that door is neither treasure nor curse. It is simply a tool that, in the right hands, can improve the world and change it for the better.
Are you the right hands?
Certainly better than you.
Why would the gods
I was
be hoarding
looking
something
and
like
I
that?
was muted. Oh my god.
I'm sorry. You were rolling
But
dice.
He said basically the same thing that Paul did.
Yeah, to which, he was just given the same answer anyway. And Avaven, in reference to your thing, he kind of smirks a little bit and... Don't you know the story of what the gods did to the Titan who granted humanity fire? The gods tend to not be very forgiving of those who change the world for the better.
Does Avaben know much about that story?
Make a religion check.
I'm sure I know this story.
I got an 18.
All right, and if you want, you can make a history check. Sorry.
And
Yeah.
during this, I'm just going through the dynamite that they had put up near the end of the tunnel.
Well, you're not where the dynamite is yet. It's further up the
No,
tunnel.
no.
Yeah, I know.
He's heading that way.
All right, so you're just gonna
I know.
elbow
I'm
past
sitting
him.
here wondering, are we just gonna? It's like, we open the door. It's another tunnel.
I mean,
You open the next door. It's
That would be
another tunnel. It's like, are we gonna get to this thing? Is this like a magical defense if you just keep finding empty tunnels? Just always expanding.
And sorry, what'd you get?
I got a 22.
All right. Both of you are familiar with the story that back in ancient times, supposedly long before the third or even second age had begun, when the Titans still ruled over the world and the gods were beginning to succeed them, one of the surviving Titans from the ancient battle where the gods overtook the Titans for control of the world was sympathetic to the up-and-coming sentient life that was beginning to teem on the planet and distributed the gift of fire, which had up till then been an exclusive right of the gods. In response...
Are you talking about Prometheus?
Yes, I am. And in response, one of the great kings of the gods struck the Titan down and doomed him to eternal torment. And while humanity themselves were not punished for the gift, the one who chose to distribute it was.
Wasn't the whole point of the story being like they were worried about like people advancing too quickly?
Yeah, essentially the idea being that fire is by nature not just a gift of warmth and light, it is also a very destructive and dangerous thing.
It's like it was like being concerned, like, could they handle fire in it?
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't like that he just unilaterally made that decision.
Mm-hmm. And from the sounds of it, the Boomergangers consider themselves to be the new Prometheus, delivering a gift that will be ultimately for humanity's better, even if the gods and those around them do not appreciate it.
It's just like, the gift of fire was great, but you should see some of what they're doing to the forest above using that.
He kind of rolls his eyes
If I
a little
remember
bit.
correctly, isn't Sherwood having a little bit of a logging problem?
Yeah, Britannia and Montaigne are using Sherwood Forest for wood materials, which the Wood Elves are obviously not super jazzed about. But
some things are just not meant for mortal hands.
Well, we consider what we're doing now to be field trials. But I will cease to annoy you. And he presses a finger to his
I think
ear.
that's actually possible.
Abandon the tunnel. Leave the dynamite. We're going.
Mm.
Haley, we said hi.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I
Alright.
could not understand your accent.
Yeah, by the way, Vaven's going to continue.
All right.
My bad. I was just saying say hi to the leader for us.
I will. And with that, he makes his way to further down the tunnel. Greylog and now Avaben cutting further ahead. You arrive at a small fork in the road, one going right and one going left. However, once this Boomerganger lieutenant catches up to you, he just makes his way to the right along with the surviving cultist, which, given that they said they're leaving, that at least narrows down where the which way would be the way further in.
Alright.
Mhm.
Vaven continues.
All right. Greylog, do you follow?
Oh,
Asari and Paul, do you catch up with them, or are you going to do you have
Yeah.
different plans?
I'm following.
Paul?
Yeah, I'll catch up. He just tried to make sure that the man didn't, get murdered.
Mm-hmm.
That's my
Yeah,
biggest
so-
concern.
Sorry, Paul. Paul, you have Flower and Fall on your shoulders. The three of you jog a bit to catch up with your two allies, and you can see them making their way down the leftmost tunnel, which starts to curve upward further down. But Paul, as Asari turns to catch up to Greylog, you turn and give one last look to the retreating Boomergangers, who do not so much as look over their shoulders and simply go through the tunnel and out of sight. Paul, turning and catching up to Avaben and crew. At this point, you expect to be plunged back into darkness. However, you can see some faint light up ahead in the tunnel, which begins to get gradually a little bit closer and brighter. And you can see... what's that?
I'm checking something. Okay, hasn't been a minute yet.
At this point, I'll say it's just about to have been one.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah, my light.
Yeah, I was gonna have, because it's a cantrip, Vaven's gonna recast Dancing Lights to give the party light.
Okay, noted. You hear small bits of retreating footsteps and see a team of about 8 Boomergangers. And while they are armed, they kind of startle a little bit on seeing the group of you, but just hold up their lanterns and kind of nervously keep to the sides of the tunnel, hands away from their belts as they allow the group of you to pass.
how many
And-
lanterns do they have?
Between them, they have 3.
I'll pass them 2 gold and ask them if I could have one of their lanterns.
There's a bit of hesitation, but after a minute, one of them steps forward and kind of snatches the gold out of your hand and just puts the lantern on the ground and gestures for his colleagues to keep moving.
Much appreciated.
Greylog, as you reach down and grab it, and you all stop for just a moment to make sure they retreat and don't try anything funny. Once they fade out of your vision further down the tunnel, Paul, your sword flickers before going out, leaving you only with the lantern light for those who do not have dark vision. But Avaben, you make another cast of dancing lights, and the tunnel is alight with magical glow as you all continue further up the tunnel. You're not left going for long, only about a minute or 2 up. Before
Just
you come...
assume he's gonna keep casting it every time he needs to.
Of course, yeah.
It's a cantrip, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, of course. once you make it to the end of the tunnel, you are at what appears to be a dead end. However, you do see several fuses and sticks of dynamite dug into
Looking for the
wall
slot.
ahead. Make an investigation check.
And I would like to take the
15.
dynamite and put it in my bag.
Could I help him?
Sure. Make a survival check. But Greylog roll
I'm
with...
helping Vaben.
No,
okay.
Helping, Ivan.
Okay, Avaben, roll your investigation with advantage. Greylog, roll me survival. Paul, what are you doing?
Second roll was a 5.
Okay.
I guess Paul will try to make sure things are good and safe. Can't use the only detection spell I have at the moment really is I will just in case detect poison and disease.
All right. Detect poison and disease.
I got an 18.
Okay. Paul, you watch protectively over the party as Asari and Avaben check the wall, looking for a place to put the medallion, and Greylog start to just take dynamite sticks out of the wall and stuff them into their bag of holding. And Paul, whenever you cast Detect Poison and Disease, you aren't necessarily expecting much, but you do actually pick up something. You pick up the sensation of poisonous fish on the other side of this tunnel mouth. And Avaben and Asari, as you start sifting around the dead-end wall and Greylog start taking out the dynamite sticks, all three of you notice that this tunnel mouth is a little different than the hard-worn smooth stone that most of this chamber and tunnel network has been. It has this kind of loamy, almost craggly feel to it, almost like not cobblestone, gravel. It's almost like gravel. And Greylog, after you take out one of the sticks of dynamite to stuff it into your bag, you notice a trickle of water starts to dribble out of the hole that the dynamite left in its wake.
So, they said that they were going to close this place out. Maybe one of us should go back and do that, just in case this just opens and just pours water down, so that we don't drain the entire river and flood the entire city.
But then we're trapped.
Well, they certainly seem to have some idea.
Well, but we don't. But I guess not sure.
Okay, man. Does it? How did it seem like they were going to get around the fact that they would then be trapped?
They didn't specify, but they certainly. It certainly didn't seem like a suicide mission, as one of them would obviously have to get the pistol from the flood water and then leave. So they clearly have a way out. You just don't necessarily know what it is.
Do I see another way out?
The river?
The river itself, the depth varies depending on where exactly you go. There are several lakes that the river deposits into before continuing to flow, and those lakes can be easily like several feet deep. And meanwhile, the parts of the river you know are usually somewhere around like 10 feet deep at the deepest, usually closer to like 3 or 4 foot deep, depending on where you go.
But the rapids are pretty crazy, apparently.
Yeah, the rapids are so fast that while it's not going to kill you if you land in it, nobody can swim against the current. Basically, you would fall in the river, and then in the time it would take you to clamber back onto shore, you could easily be like a mile downstream.
All right. I may be an idiot, but can I even think of a way that we can do this without either flooding the city or drowning?
Make a survival check. And while you're making that, just keep your roll on hand. Greylog, you had a thought?
I'm actually good at survival.
Well, I think Asari had something she wanted to say real quick.
Okay.
I got a
and then I did have a plan.
Okay, so Asari, you first, then Greylog. Paul, I'll check with you, and then we'll see the results of a Vaven's roll. So, Asari?
14.
Thank you.
It's okay. I'll just. It's fine. No.
Okay, Greylog, your idea?
If I get a chance to rest for a little bit, I do have magic that will let me just phase through the rock, and I could just look for the pistol on the other side.
And then get swept away by the rapids.
Except, you forget, I am a druid. I'm a better swimmer than most humans.
Yeah, I guess you could turn into a fish.
Can you?
I can turn into anything I want.
All right, turn into a bird.
Ooh, got you there.
Jackass.
Oh yeah, you could be one of those too. Absolutely. Oh wait, you already are.
All right, and Paul, did you have any? Paul, did you have thoughts?
Yeah, it's a flying speed.
You.
Yeah.
Yep. I guess Paul's just gotta warn the party of the poisonous fish that's there. Like, yeah.
Also, I guess on top, can the Vaven's from the area? Does he have an idea what fish that probably is?
Yeah. So I'll give you both of those in terms of your survival roll. Is that the end of your idea, Greylog, before I get into that?
I mean, he muted, so I'd assume so.
All right. Give me just a second. I have a document for all this. So in terms of your initial question, you kind of think it over. And because you know the river itself very well, you're not sure exactly what part of the forest you would be underneath at this point, so you're not positive if you're in a lake or under a lake or under a river. You're not 100% positive on that. You can make some reasonable deductions based on your knowledge of just how the river works in general. If you want to get the pistol while avoiding flooding the city, admittedly, Greylog's plan on principle is fairly sound. That would at the very least let him get into the riverbank without flooding the city, grab the pistol. It would just be a matter of how he would stabilize himself against the current and then get back. But I will say you do consider a potential alternative. This gravel is clearly very loose, and you know that river soil tends to not be the most solid substance in the world either. You're not positive, granted, but you do think it certainly would be possible for you to simply, especially since you're already seeing some of the river's water from just a few, not even a foot deep holes, you think it would be possible to simply plunge your way through the gravel and mud, maybe stick your whole arm in possibly, and you could just kind of sift around until you find it, assuming it's right where the Boomergangers dug anyway. Grab it, pull it back in, and then just have the rest of the party just essentially shovel the gravel and mud back to fill in the hole. And as long as the hole gets filled, you might end up in getting wet.
Wait, where does this whole medallion fit into all this shit?
The medallion let you get into this chamber.
Yeah, that was it.
So what exactly how were the Dark Elves supposed to get this fucking thing?
They weren't. Neither the Wood Elves nor the Dark Elves were completely entrusted with. Basically, they were instructed to guard where it was, but they weren't. They were never expected to access it, because at the end of the day, this is Vulcan's property, and Vulcan's a god. He can do whatever he wants. He can easily get the pistol out of the river. But the Wood Elves and the Dark Elves are the only ones entrusted with its location, only expected to access it in the event of an extreme emergency. And given that this chamber clearly has some protection, it's sealed after all and airtight. So if they were to just basically blow up the riverbank, let the water flood down here, it would prevent damage to Ostiliant, barely hurt the river, and allow them access to the pistol if for whatever reason they needed it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the plan was supposed to be you blow it outside of this chamber. Let what water's going to come down, and then you go get the pistol.
Mm-hmm.
We just were under the false assumption that it was some kind of magic door.
No, I mean,
I got it. Okay, so I'm just gonna test this theory of his and see how loose this actually is.
All right. And since you already rolled survival, you kind of give an experimental nudge of the gravel, and indeed, it gives way very loosely. It's firm enough to stay stable, but you ever seen those like mounds of gravel, like at construction sites? Like it's clearly solid enough to maintain a cohesive shape, but the moment you put weight on it, it starts to shift and side around.
Yeah, does it seem like it would just collapse if we tried digging through it?
It certainly could. That is definitely a possibility. But if you're careful with where you dig, you should be able to minimize the risk. As bear in mind, this chamber's pretty sizable, and the Boomerganger's got a tunnel running up here. So it's going to take a while for even this chamber to flood, let alone the entirety of
it. So we can try that method. If it starts collapsing, we just get out of here, let it work how it was intended. And then just get the pistol that way as well.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
I might have an answer.
With my archaeology background, would I be able to figure out how to dig so that we don't archaeologists dig all the time?
Do the actual digging, or do they hire people to do?
They do. They actually do.
Depending, it's like certain people do, certain people don't.
Yeah, I will say
archaeologists will, but certain won't.
I will say.
Archaeologists will.
Yeah, I was gonna say. At that point, it just comes down to what your individual training is. Now, basically, but bear in mind, knowing how to dig does, for like fossils and artifacts, does not inherently preclude knowing how to dig without letting a river leak in, blow the dam, and flood you and drown you.
Fair.
That is not necessarily a scenario you were trained for, but yes, I will throw you a bone and say you at least can dig.
You can at least dig.
Wonderful.
You have the capability.
Hey guys, can I try something first that won't disturb the gravel?
What's the plan?
Well, since the pistol's supposed to be almost within arm reach or so, based on what y'all are saying, I could just cast a spell that allows me to go into the stone and grab it.
Okay, and then how are you gonna get it?
Would he be? Would he be able to interact with objects when he's like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Or would he just phase through an object too? Hey Matthew, you've been asked a question.
Well, I mean, he has the spell, and I don't know what spell he's intending to cast.
It sounds like he's going through some stone.
Meld into stone.
Yeah, it's like I figured it was that.
Meld into stone.
You step into a stone object or surface large enough to fully contain your body.
Sounds very specific, so it might actually allow it.
Step into the stone at a point you can touch. Nothing of your presence remains visible or detectable. While merged, you can't see what occurs outside it. Any perception checks are made with disadvantage. You may be aware of the passage of time. You can cast spells on yourself. You can use movement to leave the stone. Otherwise, you can't move. It's... What's up?
I was just wondering, can you go through... I know you can melt into the stone, but you just go past the stone?
No, it says you can use your movement to leave the stone where you entered it, which ends the spell. You otherwise can't move.
Okay, so he can't use it to reach through the stone.
Yeah, basically he could go into the gravel and then back out the exact point where he went in, but he can't move deeper in and then come out the other side. There are spells that allow that, just not this one.
Yeah. The good hiding spell.
He was just going to try to put his hands in and then pull them back out.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly trying to grab the pistol.
Well, again, you can't move deeper in. You can't move deeper in is the problem.
Basically, the spell is only good for you going into the stone and you going out of the stone, which is a good hidden spell.
Yeah, like it's basically it's meant to let you hide.
Oh well.
And to answer your other question of Aben in terms of like poisonous fish, you know that the Yulong fish, while it's not technically poisonous, you do know, as your people frequently dine on them, that they have to be prepared somewhat carefully, as the material their scales are made of actually poisons their flesh to a small degree. Basically, it would give you food poisoning if prepared improperly. So it's possible that's what Paul's detecting. However, you have also heard, while your people have not encountered them, at least that you've been told, you have heard that the River Airwash is home to a species of eel called a hrakal that is said to have toxic spines. So it's possible that Paul's either detecting the poisonous flesh of the Yulong or the poisonous spines of the hrakal.
Okay, interesting.
But doesn't it tell me the
Well-
poisonous creature?
It tells you the type of poisonous creature and the type of poison itself. Which, if you want to, like, as you kind of like peer deeper in, I'll say what you're detecting does appear to be a poisonous eel, the hrakal. But it appears to be just swimming in the river, not like actively patrolling the area or anything.
All right. Raven's gonna be like, okay. I'm gonna try to find.
I have one other idea.
Okay.
If we're willing to rest for a little bit and I can work my spells, if the thing collapses and starts to flood, I can give us all water breathing.
That would be
That
helpful.
doesn't really.
If we get caught by the
Yeah,
water. My plan was if it starts to
it would-
collapse, we just get to the exit and shut the doors behind us and let it do its thing.
I would say we wait to. I'd say we wait if we're gonna risk it like that. We wait for.
I say we wait, just in case we can't get out in orderly fashion.
And what about the boomer gangers outside the door?
They've already left.
Yeah, they're leaving.
If they come
Yeah,
after
they went
us.
down the other tunnel.
If they come after us, then
Well, then we'll just slaughter them again.
now. DM. My companion, is he within a mile radius of me?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure I can talk to him.
Alright, I guess we should rest, let him get his spell ready, and then we'll try to get that pistol. Which is good, because I feel like there are some things you need to talk about.
Do I need a short rest or a long?
You need a long rest.
I'm pretty sure, typically a long rest.
Yeah, most spellcasters don't get their spells back on a short rest.
Yeah, it's only warlocks that get that. Well, no,
Wizards too.
I don't think wizards either.
No, there's a
Wizards
feature
have Arcane Recovery.
Yeah, there's a feature they get that allows it, but it's not like a base thing.
I think it's like they get some of their spells, but not all of it, right?
All right. If everyone's agreed, you all start to settle in for a rest. And Greylog in total, assuming you don't put them back whenever you see the water starting to trickle a bit out of it, you can get in total from your roll 15 sticks of dynamite. There are a few more left in the wall, but at that point, the tunnel's already starting to like get a trickle of water in, and you don't want to risk flooding it anymore.
Okay.
All right, so 15 sticks of dynamite.
Arcane Recovery.
All right. You all settle down, start diving into your rations and water, and with Avaben's dancing lights being the only source of light in this dank, increasingly wet cave, you all sit and relax for a bit. A day of rations and water from each of you. And is there anything anyone would like to say or do either before the long rest or over the course of it?
Alright. If Avon's going to be like, so, I would like to have a talk about that encounter we had.
Which part of it?
Well, I want to preface everything first by saying I should have probably communicated what my plan was beforehand. But it was kind of annoying that you decided to turn what could have been advantageous for me and us into disadvantage for us by using that light that didn't even reach them.
Mm-hmm. I will say it's quite interesting the fact that you said at first you corrected yourself immediately, but you immediately said advantage to you.
But
You're
I
the
could
only
have
one that
used the spell I used to also turn it to your advantage. They wouldn't have been able to see us, but you would have been able to see them.
Mm-hmm.
And again,
you didn't
I should have communicated that, what my plan was. And I think we could all do with communicating more.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds reasonable.
So it also, when communicating, doesn't help to tell someone communicating to shut up. You know.
I will
It
admit
defeats the
that.
whole purpose.
I will admit to that. That I wasn't being very helpful. But I believe that we need to communicate, but also we need to try and have a little bit of trust if we're going to be working together. Instead of just assuming whatever plan I had was going to, for some reason, I just decided to screw everybody that day. Maybe it could have also helped if you had a little bit of faith in someone you've been working with.
I believe that trust should go both ways there.
I've been trusting you lately.
Really?
Name a time where I had. Name lately, before we came here. I admit that before I probably was not doing a very good job of that, but I've been trying to make an effort.
Your effort is appreciated, and you are right. I really can I think of a time that he wasn't really. I can't. So whatever.
Make a history check.
I can't, but sorry.
Fuck. Maybe I should have had a Vaven roll a history check to make sure he was right on that. Because to be honest, I can't remember either.
That's probably important to
I thought he's generally.
You do have inspiration.
5 minutes. That's a dirty 20.
As Vaven says this, you kind of stop what you're saying briefly and think. And with the credentials he set forward to not count your travels in Levant, where, in his defense, he had only met you like that week at longest. During your travels here, he has admittedly been rather accommodating, taking the lead, putting himself in the front and in harm's way. When he was captured because of Paul's actions, he did not seem to bear any resentment over the matter, and in fact seemed to be completely confident and trusting that you guys would bust him and Greylog out. Did not go out of his way to question the party's plans within a reasonable degree, and even when the party deliberately goes against them, other than his outburst in the chamber, has been keeping a decently enough cool head. And with a dirty 20, I will also give you that, by your recollection, it has in fact been you and Greylog who have largely been, deliberately or not, going out of your way to not follow advice. And he said, Grendel is dangerous, don't stop, keep moving. Greylog stopped and challenged him. When he said, do not speak to the Spriggans, just ignore them and keep moving, you went out of your way to invite them to play with you. Okay,
to be fair, I said that offhandedly, and it just kind of blew up. But I get it.
And generally, while Paul and Flower and Fall have been rather accommodating and quiet, Paul's mistake in the chamber could simply just be that, an honest mistake. You can recall more times that you and Greylog have not trusted Avaben's judgment, whereas, again, at least within the credentials Avaben set for you, you can't really recall a time that Avaben has been the one to question you, unless the advice you're trying to push for deliberately goes against what he's saying, which, again, well, granted this applies to you as well, he's lived in this area and knows how to travel it.
Right, okay. So with that, Asari would just kind of sit back in her little plaque and just cross her legs. And we've only known each other for like what, 2 months, maybe.
Yes, but if we're going to continue working together like this,
well, you didn't.
It's not going to do to have us constantly going against each other.
I agree. And if you had let me finish, you would have heard that I wanted to also apologize for, Greylog is as dumb as he is big. So, I'm
not that big.
Very small. It's very cute. And I am very stubborn, stuck in my ways, but I'm trying. But that's all we can do is try.
I just wanted to bring it up so that we don't just act like it didn't happen and nothing is learned from the experience.
Well, in my experience, I've always been the bigger person. Always. I would have. In both
I tell seriously,
the literal and physical, sense. But I would have just honestly not have said anything and just gone on with our lives and just. But I do appreciate the apology, and I do accept your apology if you can accept mine as well.
I think it is only fair that if you accept mine, I accept yours. So, and again, if we're going to continue working together, we need to come to some certain understandings.
So about this pistol, I'm actually thinking I might want to hold on to it, study it, and see how it works.
I'm sure you'll have plenty of time for that whenever we take it back to the place.
Well, I mean, I want to take it with us on our quest. It would be useful.
Seem a bit of a risk.
Well,
it would be useful, right? It would get us.
It depends on. Well, frankly, do we even know what the pistol does?
Go on.
Sorry. Oh, I was gonna say I'm assuming that it shoots. It's a gun.
From what we know, it doesn't run out of ammo. It pretty much one shot, one kill sort of thing.
What?
How did we learn that?
Where's the one shot, one kill? It's literally we're about to get like an ultimate weapon.
It was in the studies that the doctor told us about.
Yeah, Anna told you that whenever she first said that the pistol was the next key, that supposedly it was an Atlantean weapon that is powerful enough to down any target in a single shot.
I feel like this is going to be I'm assuming it's over-exaggeration, but...
I mean, it is a god artifact. I don't know. That's why I said I'd like to study it, and I'd like to see if I could figure it out.
I could study it as well. I am efficient with.
Well, if you want to figure out what it does, it seems like a pretty quick way to figure that out would be to pull the trigger.
You are, darling. I know you are, darling. But listen, I've been doing this a lot longer.
Hmm.
We have this.
I mean, you can figure out. I guess if you, frankly, I don't care who holds the pistol. I mean, I do think we should bring it along. Having all the artifacts into one area is not safe, especially since now that they know that we don't have them all, so they'll start looking for the others.
That wasn't really the smartest thing to do. Like,
You said it too.
I know. I didn't say I was not smart because I do have stupid.
And we had already told their leader dude, tentacle dude, that we didn't have him either. So,
Oh man, what are we gonna do about him?
Well, if he keeps getting in our way, I'm sure an accident will befall him.
and besides, maybe he'll bring Ivan another bow.
But
That is a possibility.
Who knows?
yeah, I guess that you could study it and figure out who should hold on to it after that. Frankly, I don't really have any concerns with that.
And I think we should also set a watch tonight, just in case.
I should be able to handle that.
Okay.
Dark elves don't need much sleep.
Yes, you still do need sleep. So if you'd like, I'll take
Not
first
as much.
watch.
If you
And
want to take the first watch, I'll finish it off after that.
sounds good.
Okay.
Or should we have someone who can actually see better down here?
Yeah,
That's a good
I
point.
think that's a really, really smart thing, and I'm just gonna give up that now.
Yeah,
I will take the first. All right.
You're blind as a bat. Yeah, I'm just trying to think like.
Oh yeah, the bats would probably be gone by this point. Once they got up here, I would have let them go.
All right. The Ahools fly back, some back through the tunnel you guys came from, some down the way the Boomer Gangers went. And as the squeaking of your summons... What's up?
Oh, he's playing with fire.
Oh, I made a little torch at home.
Oh.
See that?
Just trying to think how this is gonna work. Technically.
I want to get a torch. We have a torch at home. The torch at home.
Yeah, fire hazard. All right. Sorry, you set to take first watch as the party settles in for rest. The cave, once the squeaking of Greylog's pets fades, is only the distant chittering of the creatures of the burrow and the idle drips from the gravel wall, from the dynamite holes that Greylog left. And as you all settle in to sleep or meditate, Avaben, you actually can pick up that, indeed, you actually can make out the sounds of rushing water. And the ground here has a very deep, pleasant coolness to it. So you kind of...
Does the sound of the river he lived near calm his mind?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you end up kind of leaning back against the gravel wall a little bit, knowing that even though you're still in the Underdark, your home is, at least relatively speaking, only a mere few feet away from you. As Avaben's dancing lights fade as he falls into meditation, Asari, you are left with only the black and white of your dark vision to watch your surroundings. Please make me a perception check.
Perception.
And then I got a question, Matthew.
I might have an
The
answer.
tunnel wall where the gravel is. How big is it?
The tunnel in general is fairly narrow, only about 10 foot by 10 foot, and the gravel wall makes up pretty much the entire mouth of this. So it's about a 10 foot by 10 foot wall.
Okay.
That's an 18 on perception.
All right. Asari, you sit as Avaven meditates on the sounds of the river, and everyone else sleeps tucked into their bedrolls against the cold ground, and you watch and you listen. Despite your fears, the Boomergangers do not return, nor do you hear any sounds of activity. You just hear the chirping of underdark locusts, the sounds of the flowing river on the other side of the wall, and the just general ambiance of the Underdark. Your watch comes to an end uneventfully, and you pass it on to Avaven. Avaven, make me a perception check.
Just getting my nice.
All right.
17.
All right. And Avaven, you are stirred from your meditation very gently by Asari, who tucks into their bedroll for sleep as you sit and watch. And you're more attuned to the Underdark than she is, and not to mention can see better, but you too do not see much in the way of disturbance. Not even the usual small...
the spiders and stuff didn't come for their meal?
Not that you can hear, at least. But you do notice that the typical creepy crawlies you would see in these Underdark tunnels do not appear to be even scaling the walls and floor and whatnot. So you imagine that the vermin are at least keeping to their word to the degree that they are not actively attacking you while you attempt to sleep in the tunnel. Which does bring you some comfort. As you know, the predators of the Underdark can be pretty nasty. Your watch passes uneventfully. You all get a long rest. And while you don't have much sunlight, Avaven, your own internal clock gives you a clue, at least to some degree, and all of you begin to stir as you can actually make out the very distant gongs of Astilion's bell tower. It's, again, very distant, but you can just make it out. And that at least gives you guys some indication that it is morning as you begin to awaken. You all awaken in the Underdark tunnel. At this point, the water has basically just stained the floor around your sleeping area, but otherwise has not, it's hardly made a puddle, let alone a flood. As water continues to dribble from the gravel and the river harshly flows on the other side, all of you awaken and stand at attention with spells and equipment on the ready. What would you all like to do?
All right, so Vaben, in keeping with what he said last night, is going to explain his plan. So, the gravel should be relatively loose enough, I think, that I can simply grab the pistol. Though it will obviously create a hole that will then need to be quickly filled once I pull it back out. If we're not able to fill the hole or the thing collapses, then we just simply do our best to leave this chamber and close the door behind us and let it run how it seems to have been intended to work.
I see. I might be able to help, though. Granted, not sure how far it will go. I couldn't give you a pinpoint accuracy, but I could maybe give you a better understanding
of where it is.
I do like this plan, but I do think that we should have people on standby with handfuls of mud and gravel. So when you do pull out the gun, we could just pack it tight as fast as possible.
Okay. Whatever you need to do to pack it tight.
I will bring out bucket.
Hell yeah, bucket's getting used.
Is he gonna scoop up a bunch of gravel in the bucket?
The gravel and mud in the bucket. Yeah.
All right.
Bucket is gonna get a use in every chapter, I swear.
Hell yeah.
Probably. I will find a way.
All right.
Even if I have to beat someone with it.
And also,
Paul is just like, I have a solution.
bucket.
And can I technically use mold earth to put the dirt and stuff back?
I believe
If
you
it
should.
starts to fall?
I believe so, yes, because I actually, funny thing, whenever I was creating this scenario and puzzle, Mold Earth was one of the spells I had in mind, because I know how that's like a relatively, it's a cantrip. Target an area of loose earth. You can excavate it, move it, deposit it up to 5 feet away. Dirt is on the ground. You can cause it become difficult terrain. So normally you can only excavate it, but it does say you can deposit it as well, so I would be willing to allow you to use it to fill a hole in as well.
Nice.
So he'll be standing
Between
there with that on hand.
and Bucket, we should be all right.
All right. Great luck.
Let me know whenever you have your contingencies ready.
But
All right.
I will help Paul put mud in gravel.
But
Also, Paul, you said you had some way to find it?
well, again, a better, possibly better, depending on how this works. I guess he will try and use. He's one of the new spell I changed. Locate object, as he's going to kind of give his best description of the pistol. You know, the pistol of known godliness.
Okay.
You sense the
Matthew's
object.
typing something.
You sense the object's location as long as it's within 1,000 feet of you. It can locate a specific object as long. The spell can locate a specific object as long as you have seen it up close at least once. Alternatively, it locates the nearest object of a particular kind. So, are you just going to search for divine pistol, basically?
Yeah, you can describe her names. Yeah, divine pistol. So.
Okay. Paul, you cast locate object, searching for Vulcan's Forgecast pistol, constructed by the Atlanteans in his honor. And the spell tells you that the pistol is 10 feet away from you on the other side of this wall.
I can't reach that far, can I?
Well, you bear in mind, you just have to dig and then just plunge your arm. And bear in mind, a lot of this is going to give way as you're digging. But
I might push a bit further. Okay.
I just gotta dig a little bit, and then once I figure I'm within reach of it, just quickly grab it.
Mm-hmm. And Paul, feeling around a little bit, you can see that the particular location is upwards a little bit, but around the middle of this gravel wall. So about 6 feet. About 6 feet in the air and 5 feet in radius.
Does Paul give Laban this information?
I mean, yes, he's not Zephyr.
All right. Yeah, Paul points out that not only is the pistol a mere 10 feet away from all of you, but points out the specific location that you will need to dig to get access to it.
All right. With that, Laban is going to very, very carefully, taking as much effort as he can to not cause the whole thing to collapse, start working his way to getting that.
Okay, make me a survival check. And because you're in the Underdark, which is your favorite terrain, I believe you just get a plus, which I have been keeping track of for your earlier rolls, don't worry, but I figured I'd point out that you're in your element here, just to make you feel good. Yeah, your proficiency bonus is doubled for relevant skills. So
usually it's a... So how much of it is...
Get an extra
plus 3.
Your proficiency is +3 right now, so you get a +6 instead of a +3. So basically add an extra
an additional 3.
Yeah.
So it'll be +8.
Mm-hmm.
Let me do some math here. 15.
All right. And because most of the party is helping you, I'll also throw you a bone and say you can roll with advantage.
Woo!
With advantage will be a 19.
Got it.
Hey.
All right. Asari, you and the twins take a step back as you help Paul scoop up as much mud and gravel into Bucket as he can, And Greylog, you start readying your cast of Mold Earth to just basically fill in unnecessary gaps that start to open up. And also, Paul, I'm going to say now, if you manage to find a use for this bucket every session, or not every session, every chapter, and keep that thing all the way to the end, I'm promising you right now, I will make this thing a magic item for future campaigns.
Bucket, yes.
Yeah, Paul's bucket.
Paul.
Yeah,
we would need to make that like an actual thing in the setting.
Paul's bucket.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like if Paul manages to get through this whole campaign doing this, I will make it a canon like magic item that is like crazy good in some way. Like it's gonna get enchanted by your amazing deeds with it. Just wanted to point that out.
It is the bucket of endlessness. It can bucket everything.
Yeah, like you can fit anything. And anyway, Paul, once Asari helps you pack up bucket, you hoist it at the ready. Greylog, you ready your earthbending. And Avaben, with your bare hands, you start to dig. Using the point Paul pointed out to you, you're able to be very precise. As your goal is not to just get deeper and deeper, you try to maintain that specific area. But loose gravel is still loose gravel, and gravel begins to quickly tumble and fall around you. However, you are being relatively precise. You hug your belly to the gravel to prevent what's around you from spilling. So for the most part, it's just disruptions to the gravel falling around you. And Greylog, you see that the top of the cavern does start to quickly leak and spout, but you use mold earth to quickly cover it up. And Paul, whenever you notice that the dynamite holes are starting to leak more rapidly, you just start bucketing gravel and silt and salt deposits over them. And with the two of your efforts combined, Asari stepping forward along with the twins to just start scooping as much into bucket as you can, while Greylog just earth bends like nobody's ever earth bended before. Avaben, you dig and dig and dig. You make your way past gravel. You start reaching sand. And then eventually you reach dirt and finally mud. And once you find mud, at this point you're literally like your feet are off the cavern floor. You've dug this like little crawly tunnel for yourself, but you can feel the gravel like rapidly like adjusting around you to the point where you're honestly concerned that if the group wasn't here, you could drown in gravel here basically. You reach forward with all your might, again, literally in the hole you've dug for yourself, basically, and you plunge your hand through the mud where Paul indicated, and you initially feel nothing. Shells, mud, the rapid currents of the river pressing against your fingers like a magical force spell. But finally, you feel something cool and metal. And tightening your grip around it, you pull, and it has this like handle-like shape that you manage to get a grip on. And pressing your feet against it, Flower and Fall can see that you're starting to dig your way out, and the twins each grab one of your ankles and start pulling. All of you watch as Avaben, along with a cascade of water, starts getting pulled by the twins out of the hole. And Avaben, you're pulled free from the gravel hole you created, and Paul and Greylog combine their bucket and spell to immediately just start filling it in. You are soaking wet, but all of you see that Avaben has a very muddy and covered in dirt and mud pistol in his hands.
Can I cast Prestidigitation on it?
To clear the mud?
Yeah.
All right.
And
Paul.
Ivan, please.
All right. Paul, as you and Greylog fill out the...
I don't know if you can prestidigitate water.
Actually, I believe you can. Because you basically just
water.
clean... Yeah, you specifically dry something that's been soiled. So yeah, they can do that. So Greylog and Paul, as the two of you are filling out the Ivaben-sized crater in the gravel to ensure that this cavern doesn't flood, you manage to do so expertly. And while this place is now wet and in a small puddle, it is not flooding, and you do not see any further leaks. And Asari, Avaben, you see Asari and the twins kind of looking over you before Asari casts Prestidigitation, and the water and mud and sand and just all the filth and water that's clung to you magically comes off of you before dissipating, along with all the filth on the pistol. allowing all of you to see it properly for the first time. Hunter, would you care to describe for everyone what an Atlantean repeater pistol looks like?
Ooh.
Hang on. Let me see if I can't find an image.
Yeah, I do have it written down if you need me to do it, but I figured I'd give you first go.
Rip. Rip.
I'm looking up images because I'm not good at describing things.
All right, I'll take care of it then. As the mud and water comes off of the object, all of you stepping away from the gravel wall once Paul and Grail are you're sure it's secure, all of you look down at what you presume to be the Forgecast pistol. It doesn't necessarily in and of itself look too unlike a flintlock pistol in terms of its sheer shape, which is why you can all recognize it as a pistol. However, it does have a few unique design things to it.
Cool.
Where the flintlock mechanism would normally be on a pistol like this, you see that there's instead a somewhat bulbous circular shape, almost akin to what Astari, you recognize that the bulbous circular shape is actually not too unlike the wheel lock mechanisms that Bretonnian rifles use. But there's not actually a visible lock mechanism on it. But the pistol just kind of gives off this very odd energy to it. Avaben, holding it in your hands makes you feel very kind of tingly. And Paul, you do notice that in the darkness of this cave, I know Avaben's probably been providing dancing lights, but in the darkness of the cave, the pistol actually gives off a very, very faint but nonetheless noticeable glow.
Now everybody's gonna want it.
Can Avaben think of anything that's made him feel like this before?
Make a nature check.
Nature.
Well, he does that.
I
I'll
get-
just kind of.
Well, I don't get proficiency with nature anyways, so I wouldn't get a double anyways. 15.
You have not experienced it yourself, but you have heard of something described this way. Something that is magically very powerful, but tends to create kind of odd physical sensations in those who are near it. Assuming you're remembering correctly, this is something you would recognize as being very close to mana, the crystalline form of magic itself, raw and primal.
From what's her name's description, does it seem like it'd be explosive?
All Anna told you is that this weapon was very accurate and very deadly.
Well, accurate would imply that it hits the target it's aimed at rather than hitting everything around it, right?
That's up to you, but that's a reasonable conclusion.
All right, Avaven is going to do something that is probably very stupid. Can you see that long tunnel that we came down?
Yep, it's still stretching behind you.
He's going to try to shoot it down that tunnel.
All right. You all watch as Avaben stands up, cleaned off thanks to prestidigitation.
Yeah, nowhere
levels the pistol.
He's going to be very careful to try to not hit any of the side walls, so that he doesn't trap them in.
Noted. Avaben, you level the pistol.
Because that tunnel goes down quite a ways, right?
Yes, yeah, it stretches out like quite a bit behind you.
And even if it still hits the very end and collapses it, we can just go back down the way we came up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Avaben, you're not used to firing firearms like this, but you can understand the basic principle. Although you notice there's no lever to pull back, there's no mechanism that you seem to need to fiddle with. So finally, after not seeing any obvious way to load it, you simply aim and fire down the tunnel. And all of you watch as this blast of energy shoots out the front, and you see not a bullet, but a simple ray of magical energy shoots down the tunnel, gleaming with this kind of blue energy before dissipating at the end of the tunnel.
Interesting.
So
That was probably very stupid, but I had to see.
And I will say, as all of you get a closer look at the pistol after Avaven kind of looks it over after firing it, you don't see any obvious mechanisms again, but I will say on a closer inspection, Asari, you notice that the weapon has some, on the metal that makes up the barrel, you notice, it wasn't immediately visible to you when you first grabbed it, but you can see that there's some glowing little strips of blue crystal on it, which make up these like intricate carvings and designs, which glow brightly after the weapon's been fired before gradually starting to cool and then fading from view again, other than the faint energy and glow it gives off, making it, again, indistinguishable from a normal, if visibly non-functional pistol.
is there any writing on it?
Make a general intelligence check.
Can Avaven help?
Make a general intelligence check with advantage. But again, as usual, try to give me both results if you can.
And with the blue crystal, does it look like the mana veins?
It certainly looks quite like it.
All right, so my
Like,
first.
could I check, like, look at it and see if I could see if it's the same thing or not? Since I do know what it looks like.
Make a nature check, and I'll come back to you. Sorry.
So my first roll was a 2 plus 3, so 5, and then my second roll is 18 plus 3.
Okay.
So 21.
Asari, let me actually double check something. I just gotta check something real quick. You do see writing on it, but by the time you've approached and looked it over, it's beginning to fade, but you don't seem like you can read it anyway. However, Avaven, holding it and noticing the glow on the barrel the moment you stopped firing, you notice that not only is there writing on it, it's in Undercommon. Although you notice it seems to be a very archaic form of Undercommon, like basically the Undercommon equivalent of like Shakespearean speak, you know what I mean?
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
I got you.
Knowing what the language of it, knowing what language I picked for Atlantis in this setting. So what does it say?
Looking over it, you see that it doesn't necessarily appear to be like a concrete like phrase that you can see. However, you do see that there's various words carved into it with this kind of monosteel substance. You see that the words you can immediately make out in Undercommon are lightning, family, smith, brilliance.
Interesting. Does some of it look... Was there a word before family?
The word before family was smith.
Wait, so all these words are like next to each other?
Yeah, essentially they kind of like work, they kind of swirl down the barrel before at the tip where it comes away from the butt material of the gun gives way to completely encircling the barrel. And since again you got a good look and you can actually read them, it goes lightning, smith, family. I have a list here. One sec. Sorry. Flame, brilliance, glare, and then finally at the very tip of the barrel, you see a final word, which is luster.
Can I make an intelligence roll to try and figure out what the fuck that means?
I'm going to make this a
Did I do
religion
as
roll,
well?
actually. And,
Did I do
yeah.
as well?
Well, okay, Vaben, do you pass on what you read?
Yeah.
Alright, sorry, you make me a
Cool,
religion roll as well. And real quick, Paul and Greylog, what are the two of you doing?
I'm studying the material.
Natural 20!
I got an 8.
Alright.
That's for history, you said? Or
Religion.
So 23 total.
Alright, and Paul, what are you doing?
Paul's just gonna make sure that the hole is just, nothing gonna go bad with the hole.
Alright, make me a survival check.
No leaks or anything in that. He doesn't care about the pistol.
Alright, so yeah, make me a survival check and we'll come back to you. Greylog, since I know what I give Asari, is going to get Asari talking. Greylog, what'd you get on nature?
18.
The material definitely appears very, very similar to mana, although while you're not a blacksmith, it seems like they've infused it into the steel in some way. So it doesn't seem like it's like basically it doesn't look like you just reach into the gun and pull mana out of it. It seems like it's directly worked into the fabrication of the weapon. But yes, you do recognize it as definitely mana.
Is giving him ideas.
Try the plan again about getting mana again.
Avaben, you're not sure what the significance
thought.
of these words are. It seems like it's just kind of random. But Asari, you know what this is. As with most cultures all throughout history, the Atlanteans too had gods. But with their worshippers gone, most of the Atlantean gods have been reduced to a much less powerful state. You know that some went off and joined other pantheons. For instance, you know that the Atlantean goddess of nature joined the Yavik pantheon. But one such god who actually does still manage to maintain a small kind of cultish worship is Vulcan, the Atlantean leader who this pistol was made to honor. You know from your readings that Undercommon, which since Avaven passed on to you, you can gauge that this is written in. Undercommon was not the Atlanteans' native tongue, but it was the language of nobility in the Second Age, before Common overtook it as the most commonly spoken tongue. And you recognize that all of these words are effectively in Undercommon different names for Vulcan. Things he was called by the Atlanteans, by the Atlanteans' enemies, by the Atlanteans' allies. And you know that in the modern day, these things are frequently seen as things that Vulcan is connected to. Lightning, which creates fire. The family, which is warmed by the hearth. And of course, flame and its brilliance and luster. Vulcan was not just the god of crafts, he was also the god of fire. So most of these words seem to be made in honor of him. And with a natural 20, I will say that you managed to arrive at the conclusion that when the Atlanteans forged this pistol, a labor of love for one of their most beloved leaders, they literally carved all of his names and everything he stood for and represented to them on this weapon they built for him.
So cool.
Literally carving their devotion into the weapon that they had hoped he would wield as a god.
Okay, so you just hear like this little squeak from Asari, which is really strange because she's very tall, and she's just like, that is really cool. So she goes on to explain to him what the significance of the words are and like how cool it is that like they did that. Like, I really like that gun.
What's interesting is they chose to write it in Undercommon and not their own language.
Well, it actually is not that surprising considering that the aristocracy was mainly speaking in Undercommon at the time, so it's really not all that surprising.
I
But
guess so.
if you don't mind, I'd really like to hold it and examine it. So,
Well, can we do that after we get out of here, please?
Yeah.
do it.
In case those spiders get any ideas, I am the one who knows how to use ranged weapons, after all.
She kind of pouts, but
I mean,
shrugs.
Well, other than
yeah, it's like
Flower and Fall, but it's a little bit too big for them.
you can shrink it
They
But we
down.
could make it smaller.
Yeah, that's really.
Haven's just gonna look at the obviously magic on it, and it's like, I don't want to see how that would interact with other magic.
True.
I don't know if that's a really good idea, dears, but I do want to take a look at it once we are out of here.
All right. Because nobody's attuned to it yet, please do not. It is on D&D Beyond, but please do not pull it up yet until someone's attuned to it, because I want it to be a surprise what it does.
Wow.
Okay.
I want it so bad.
Patient.
Does any of us even have proficiency to use it?
I mean,
I can use my
that's a
downtime, boy.
question. You don't have to say what proficiency it is, or you could say who would have the proficiency to use it.
What kind of
Actually, yeah, nobody has the proficiency to use it, but I will say it doesn't require proficiency to use.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Okay, cool.
of course. It's just you're better at it with
Yeah, so basically proficiency with firearms would help, but it's not necessary. But yeah, do bear in mind that unless you take your downtime to learn how to use a gun, none of you know how to use this.
That's what I plan to do. Once we get there, I'm going to study it and I'm going to learn how to use it. Because it's really cool.
It's just the spellcaster's going to try to use a gun.
Why not?
Hey, when you run out of spells, you gotta have something to fall back on.
Yeah. Better than Paul.
And honestly, all I've had was magic. I don't know how, I do know how to use my quarterstaff, but, I think it would be really interesting to try something.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Raven's just saying he'll use it, but not because he's probably the one who could at least finagle the use of it if they needed it in an emergency.
Yeah, you are of course a fantastic shot. So knowing how to use a gun or not, you definitely would be a good sharpshooter to give a magic gun to.
Until one of us picks up a proficiency for it.
Mm-hmm. And before anyone freaks out, do bear in mind that, again, this is a campaign where the whole premise is you guys are going to get 8 of these fucking items. So basically, please don't be upset if you aren't the one who eventually gets to wield it, assuming you guys keep a hold of it. There are still several keys you can get that you can then use yourself.
Yeah, I have no interest in this item.
I just think it's cool.
At least this time it didn't have a guardian that we had to dupe.
Well,
that we know of. Hiya!
Speaking of,
oh fuck!
Are you guys ready to start making your way back?
Yes, let's go. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Can we stop by Britannia on the way back?
I guess I will.
What?
I'd love to see my mum.
Oh, that, yes.
Yeah, baby wants to go see his quote unquote friend.
Well, why don't we do both? Those of us who don't want to go to Britannia can stay in Sherwood, and you can head into Britannia to see your mom.
Split the
It makes
party.
really
We
good.
have achieved our goal, so there's probably not really any dangers we need to assemble for. It could take some time.
Once we get out of this Underdark first, though.
Yeah, we'll worry about that when we get out.
All right. So, just for my frame of reference, do you guys head out the way you came in, or do you want to go down the tunnel you saw the Boomergangers go?
I guess we can try going
Well,
down
we
the
got
tunnel.
people back in the city to get out of the Underdark. So I vote that we go back the way we came.
Well, no, I was saying, like, through how to get out of this.
Yeah,
tunnel.
basically, do you want to like summon bats, carry everyone down to the floor, and then head out that chamber, or just head down the tunnel and see where how the boomer gangers got out?
I say we at least have a look.
Yeah, we can have a look. But I got a
Okay.
feeling it's going to lead to the surface.
We'll find
Well,
out.
to be fair, they were down here and then came here
Yes, the trail
because
did.
they were trying to make a deal.
The trail did. They did go through the Underdark, so good chance that's not the case.
True.
Probably. Who knows? So.
That's
All right.
all.
Heading down the tunnel, you instead take the right path where the boomer gangers retreated from yesterday. And the tunnel heads downward initially, but afterwards it suddenly spikes upward. Avaben at the lead of the group, you can see that it's certainly climbable, but it's this really sudden upshoot where you basically have to hoist yourself up and then kind of roll yourself to the other side, and you can't clearly see what's on it. But you've at least answered your internal question of how the boomer gangers hoped to prevent flooding. It seems like this tunnel basically upshoots so suddenly that the water would basically just pool and then start flooding the other chamber.
Yeah.
Not to mention it pooling in this area would give them time to get out of the central chamber before it completely floods. So at the very least, their plan seems to come together.
Yeah, they weren't trying to kill everyone initially.
Yeah, basically their plan would have ensured the only casualties would have been maybe a few fish.
But bro, the fish though. Gotta protect them fish.
I could
would
see
do
Paul
it.
being worried about
I
fish.
speak to the fish.
I mean,
But it does look climbable. It certainly won't be comfortable, but it's climbable. Do you guys still want to keep going this way?
Considering the alternative is burning a spell slot or falling.
Okay. Avaben, you climb your way up and hoist yourself over the side, and you find yourself kind of rolling a little bit, and whenever you stop rolling, you find yourself in that central tunnel you guys had come from, and you see a metal cart to your right. Greylog, as you roll down next, you recognize this as the tunnel that you had seen the entrance of when you were seeing where they abandoned the cart, which it appears they did not take it with them in their retreat.
Oh, nice.
free cart.
This is, and you said it was a small cart, right?
Yeah, again, it's basically one of those little carts that is just meant to carry stuff, or at most, maybe 2 people.
Is it a mine cart?
Yes.
Minecraft. What?
And we never shut that one door, right? Going into that one chamber.
Nope.
Yes, you did leave that open behind you.
Okay.
Sorry, Paul, you guys roll in next, and I will just say to save us some time, does anyone have any errands or pit stops they want to make before returning to Ostilions?
No. The only thing that Greylog is going to do is once we get out of the tunnels back into the
Trench?
big area where the spiders and the trench. He's going to cast Speak with the Animals, shout out into the darkness, telling them where the corpses are as promised, so they can go and divulge themselves.
Okay. Avaben, Paul, anything from the 2 of you before you return to the city?
No, No, but
Hell no.
Paul will just, I guess, call to his mount, make sure he kind of gets to him, and just have a fateful reunion with his boy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Paul, as you roll out of the tunnel mouth, you just immediately call down the tunnel, and you hear the crawling hoofbeats of your elk, who gives a echoing, like whistling sound of happiness as the two of you reunite.
Boy.
Oh,
Boy.
Paul, reuniting with your beloved mount, you all start making your way back down the tunnel.
Do spiders and shit start crawling into that doorway?
Well, let me get there. You all crawl your way down the tunnel and finally emerge back in the trench. You do not pick up the cart, you do not close the door, but you have pistol in hand. Out of curiosity, Aben, since you're the one who has it at the moment, do you want to like put it anywhere special, or just kind of carry it, or how do you want to?
How do you want it stolen?
He's gonna put it in his bag,
All right.
out of sight.
Yeah, stuffing the Forgecast pistol into your bag, you all continue your journey across the trench. And Greylog, once you're in the trench proper, the hollow that the underlings venerate and the dark elves fear, you cast Speak with Animals, so deduct the appropriate spell slot, and let the vermin know that the food awaits them as promised. And initially nothing seems to happen, but then all of you can see, or for those of you who can't see, hear, as there's this flurry of clicks and chitters as giant locusts, giant spiders, even the occasional giant ant just start making their way past you via the walls and floor towards the distant hollow tunnel. And Greylog, with your Speak with Animals, you can just hear this chanting among them, "Feast, feast," as ants and spiders and locusts start swarming into the tunnel to desecrate the dead boomer gangers.
well, we've
The
cleared out
boomer
this
gangers
area.
may
so
not
where's
be the
this
good guys,
going?
but I don't know if we are either.
Yeah. Question.
With your path,
I never claimed to be good.
with the path ahead of you cleared, you all march proudly through the trench. You pass the farmhouse that the Bees Without Hives operate from, which appears to have been cleared out, likely so that they can oversee potential evacuation efforts as needed. And with little issue, you make your way out of Woolenva and start scaling to get up to Ostiliant proper. And once you guys are in Ostiliant, Avaven, I'm assuming you're gonna pop back to the plateau to pick up your friends and allies from the Bees Without Hives hideout.
Yes, and whenever he sees you all again, he's gonna give him a big hug.
All right, so we'll get there. Paul, Asari, and Greylog, any last errands you want to run while in Ostiliant itself?
No, but once we get out of the trench, Greylog is going to cast Pass Without a Trace on us, so we're
All
not
right.
seen.
Yeah, and speaking of, do you guys want to continue being stealthy while you make your way back to the plateau?
Yeah, he probably should, seeing
I
how
do.
he's going to like a rebel hideout or some shit.
I mean,
You gotta make sure he's not followed.
Okay.
certainly.
Paul,
try.
you okay with that?
Yeah, I can certainly try.
All right. Everyone roll stealth, and bear in mind that you have +10 from Pass Without Trace.
All right, rolling. Ooh, bad. Okay. 14.
Okay.
And that's also
It could be worse.
yeah. I was like that's with the +4 or the +10.
Yeah, so it's a 4.
We also get a +10, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, 19.
So I got a 29.
Okay, 19, 29, 14. That's an
And a
18 from
26
Flower and
for
Fall.
Fall.
Yeah, I rolled pretty badly, but all those pluses made up for it.
Is that you rolled pretty badly? You rolled better than me.
All right.
I rolled a 3.
I rolled an 8 and a 2.
Yeah, my base roll is a 3, but I get 6
Wait,
stealth,
if you rolled an 8
which makes it a
2,
9, and then I got the +10, which made it a 19.
What?
I was saying, if you rolled an 8 and a 2, that would give you a dirty 20, would it not?
What?
Well, he takes the lower because
Disadvantage is wearing heavy armor.
Yeah, it's not advantage, you know.
Oh. What about the fact that you have your mount? Would that... Do you still have to roll for you, or do you use
No,
your mount?
it doesn't help.
I figured.
Oh.
Okay.
If anything, being up on a mount should arguably make you worse at being stealthy.
Yeah. All right. You guys make your way out of Wolimva and start making your way across Osteliant. Again, sticking to the alleyways and staying off the streets. For the moment, life in Osteliant seems to be going on as normal. You don't see any obvious signs that people are panicking or evacuating. But there is a little less activity on the streets, you've noticed, which does help you, as Paul, even though you're trying and Greylog's magic is helping you, you're still a little more clankety than you'd like to be. But given that, again, the streets are a little less crowded than normal, you guys managed to make it to the base of the plateau without being spotted. Where the Dark Elves have run off to, if they ran off anywhere, you don't know. But
don't know, don't care. Let's go.
Yeah, I don't know, don't care. You guys begin the walk through the fungal forest and up the winding pathway to
Wait, don't we
Loftutful.
gotta go back to get our people?
No, yeah, they're in Loftutful, the plateau area, because that's where all the
okay.
richy people live. You all make your way up top and head back to the warehouse where the bees without hives are hiding out. If they're still here, this would be the last place the prisoners were. And Astari, you can't help but be a little aggravated as Paul points out the location of the hideout to you, you realize that you had passed where Paul and Flower and Fall were before the prison breakout, and realize that they were like right next to you basically, and you had no idea.
Oh man, I'm honestly too tired to go through this with you right now, Paul. But this is ridiculous.
What? Paul is confused.
We were really next. We were honestly next to each other, and didn't even know it.
I guess so.
Paul?
Your indifference is astounding.
Paul opening up the door. You all climb down into the cellar. And Avaven, before you can even think to, the moment all of you step through into the lit wine cellar, you're immediately run into for a hug yourself from you all Steluker, who immediately, after breaking out the hug, kind of pats you down quickly and looks you over and looks over the rest of you. I can't believe it. Is everyone okay? Is anyone hurt?
Oh no. We kind of obliterated
Physically
them.
or emotionally. No, I'm just kidding. We're fine.
Yeah, we
That's
kind
so
of obliterated them.
Yeah, just
And then left them for the vermin.
Fantastic.
That was my idea.
That was
Your
his
def-
idea.
Your definition of fantastic is really worrisome.
Nah, they had it coming.
I mean, to be fair, we are talking about members of the same group who have been blowing up our home.
Fair.
I'm just glad that all of you made it back okay. And he puts his hands on your face, Avaben, and smiles widely. Well, did you get what you came for?
Avaben's gonna reach into his backpack and he's gonna think for a second and be like, "I'll show you later."
Yeah.
That's fine. You got it though?
Yes, we got it.
That's great. Well,
You know what that means, right?
can we go home?
We can all go home. Well, y'all can go home. We'll go visit. We'll have a grand time.
A cheer rises up among the prisoners. You do not see the bees without hives themselves, nor Avaben's uncle. But you all looks at you, Avaben, and someone who claimed to be your uncle came by here. The rebels, the bees without hives, they cleared out yesterday. Said they were going to warn the city about a flood just in case what you guys got up to went south, and said that they were leaving Ostiliant, said that they had some treasure to look for.
Probably.
Yeah.
They can try.
Well, it's going to be impressive if they manage to get it before you guys. He puts a hand on your shoulder, Vaben, and I'm proud of you.
Avaben's just gonna give him a kiss.
Which he returns fondly.
And then he's gonna say, "By the way, I'm holding you to that promise you made in the mansion."
He smirks at you, and as long as you eat the fruit I've been saving for you. And he holds up the rotten fruit before you.
Are you trying to kill me? Has this been your grand plan all along? Have you been...
Come on. You can't eat it once we get back to the surface.
Now, Matt, I would like to see this fruit. First off, I would like to detect poison disease.
Oh my god. This group.
Yeah.
You detect poison and disease. You do not detect anything harmful on the fruit.
Oh. Nothing harmful.
Does he say it's not harmful?
Yeah, sure. He just like, I mean, it seems safe.
Come
It was
on.
just like, places
I
have
double dare
laws
you.
about partners treating
I
their
double
partners
dare
like
you.
this, right?
Come on.
Oh, I know,
I
but
double dare you.
you're breaking the customs of our people. I can break a few rules. Come on. One last break of the rules. After everything you've did down here, I'm going to make sure that the people of the village don't hear the end of it if they continue to treat you like crap. So why not break the rules one last time before, with any luck, things start to change?
I'm looking at a Vaven's sleight of hand.
Try to see if you can.
It's not amazing, but it's not terrible.
Yeah. Not Zephyr level.
Do you accept the fruit? I'll take the fruit, and he will.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Here's what he's gonna try to fake it.
Yeah.
But if he fails, he's gonna play it off as fucking around. How's that sound?
Sure. Go ahead and roll me sleight of hand.
If I fail, I'll roll a performance.
Yeah. Fucking. So yeah. So first sleight of hand.
Not great. 11.
You try to kind of
that performance.
This is going to be deception.
Oh, deception.
Because you're trying to convince him that you're just playing around when you very much do not want to eat the rotten fruit.
All right. Well, I roll a 19.
All right. You kind of covering the fruit with your hand you do that thing you would do for a child, like facing your head a certain way and putting it behind it. But you just see him kind of shoot up an eyebrow and kind of, play it off like you were joking, which does seem to appease him. He's just, come on, don't be such a tireling.
Come on, if you do it, I'll do it.
Everyone's like,
Please
how
don't.
about I split it with my friend here?
Well, you guys did save us, so sure. But make sure you get the bigger piece of Aben.
All right,
I'll pass him a
everyone will
knife
cut
to cut it with.
like a third off of it to let Greylog, because he just volunteered.
And I will even take the first bite.
Greylog, you all watch as Greylog bites into this visibly rotten Underdark fruit.
I'm not
Greylog,
kissing you after that.
it is dry. You detect a little bit of fuzz in it whenever you bite, and what feels uncomfortably like there's something squirming inside of it. And it is one of the most nauseating things you've ever eaten.
I'm going to play it off, make it seem like I'm really enjoying it.
Make a deception check.
All right, Haven's gonna take the plunge, and I'm gonna roll a Constitution to see if
Protein,
he tries out
Greylog.
on the texture.
All right.
Okay, so I'm using my inspiration.
Okay.
Yeah, Vaven, I'm gonna have a Vaven roll.
first
I think
time-
that'd be right? Constitution.
Well, and
Yes.
try not to throw up, apparently.
Yeah.
First one was a 9.
Oh, 15.
The inspiration was a natural 20.
All right. And what'd you get, Avaben?
15.
Avaben, you watch carefully as Greylog bites and eventually eats completely his third of the fruit. And while you do see his face kind of like twitch for a second, he smiles and nods and seems to be enjoying it. So perhaps this Underdark fruit just keeps longer and it just looks unpleasant.
Come on, I feel like the save for this should be quite high.
And seeing as Greylog seems to be greatly enjoying it, you just chomp into yours enthusiastically and are immediately greeted with the same nauseating dryness and horrid texture. You manage to just barely keep yourself from throwing up, and you manage to swallow it. But it is, for you, 100% the most disgusting thing you've ever eaten.
Greylog, don't you dare come with me with those nasty lips.
He didn't really hear. Sorry. He's too busy laughing at Ivan. Like, I got shit on that one.
Ivan is gonna be like, I just gotta look
You're
at you
gonna create
like,
a trust
why would you do this to me?
Now,
You're gonna create a trust issue. That's
You
what's gonna
could,
happen.
you know, you could have just picked a new one, right, on our way out.
did he eat all of it?
Avaben, did you?
Take a bite out of it?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, he ate the rest of it.
Oh, okay. I was like,
that's how Matthew
Ivan,
flavored it. He just
It's
chomped
the
it.
sentimental value.
If I kept that thing safe for days, making sure the guards never saw it, the least you can do is eat it after all that work. But he kind of
there.
smiles and kisses you on the head, and come on, let's get you home.
Ivan's gonna grab some of
Clearly
this
he loves
water
him,
to
but
wash
he-
his mouth.
I love you.
Paul, you
Stay
and
away
Flower
from
and
me
Fall watch fondly as the party just delights in their shenanigans. And the
Get away
prisoners,
from me, Greylog.
the freshly
Yeah,
freed
the prisoners are
prisoners.
probably just prisoners are just watching us like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
these are the guys
You
that
think
saved
Red-
us.
Greylog you see Greylog chasing us, sorry. Like,
As a Maven, like, as a Maven just drinks from his water skin purely to wash the bits of it out.
Yeah. I was just thinking, man, should I have purified that?
yeah, Paul, you contemplate that you probably could have made that experience easier for everyone and just didn't think to at the time. Flower and Fall are just laughing. And with that, as Greylog chases Asari, Avaben shakes off their food poisoning, but is cuddled and kissed by his boyfriend to make up for it. And Paul, you contemplate how you could have made better choices, and Flower and Fall just laugh at the party's everything. The prisoners finally set free from Ostiliant prepare to leave it, along with all of you. And that is where we're going to end tonight's session. However, there is a few things to cover before we end off for the night.
Really?
End of the chapter. But again, there's some stuff to cover. So, first things first. All of you level up. You are all now level 8.
Whoa, nice.
I can fly!
So you're all now level 8. And that is the end of Under Locks and Keys Chapter 2, Beneath the Sands. I will reveal what the name of the next chapter is going to be before we end for the night. The second thing I want to address is you all obviously have some downtime coming up. You guys are going to, from the sounds of it, hang out in Perugia for a while and then return to Tortage so that Asari and Anna can help Professor Plaster start figuring out where the next artifact's going to be. So obviously prepare for what proficiencies you want to get during your downtime. Each of you will have time to pick up one, and I will remind you that if you want inspiration, you are going to have to purchase it. However, I've given it some thought, and given that literally nobody's been using that system, I'm going to change it a little bit. Third thing I want to address, how inspiration works in this campaign is going to be changing a little bit. Instead of you choosing to buy it and then just whether you use it or not, I'm implementing a new flat system. You all will get 1 use of inspiration per chapter. So all of you have inspiration now, but you will have to choose where you want to use it very carefully, as you will not get another use of it until the next chapter begins. So all of you will have 1 use of inspiration for each chapter. Fourth thing that I want to say. Given that you guys are going to be staying in Perugia for a while, since nobody attuned to it here, I will just say that you guys, with some experimentation, can figure out what the pistol does. I'll say it does require attunement to use, but there's no special requirements for the attunement itself. But would you all like to know, just again, from your characters probably looking into it in their own time, figure out what the pistol does?
Yeah, I would love that.
I probably won't look into it, but I mean, I'll find out later on.
You guys have acquired the Forgecast pistol, a legendary artifact item that is a pistol. It is a +3 pistol, so +3 to attack and damage rolls. The weapon does not have the loading or the ammunition property, so you can fire it infinitely and with multi-attack. It has a range of 120 feet to 480 feet. It also comes with the following special abilities. Once per long rest, you can make a disarming shot. Whenever you successfully hit a target with an attack using this weapon, you can force them to make a DC 19 strength save or drop an item of your choice at their feet. But you can only do that once per long rest. You can also make a fatal shot. You have to use this ability before making the attack. So basically before you know if it's going to hit or not at all. If the attack hits, your opponent has to make a DC 19 con save. If they fail, they instantly drop to 0 hit points.
Sounds like what my other...
Wow.
That is a pretty crazy ability there, but
If they succeed, they will instead take 10 D10 force damage and be pushed back 10 feet.
That is a pretty strong weapon there. An ending.
And finally, don't worry, I'll address that in a moment. But and finally, it has the point blank ability. While making ranged attacks, you do not have disadvantage, even if the enemy creature is within 5 feet of you.
Nice.
Yeah, to address that seems really strong. Bear in mind, the whole premise of this campaign is that by the end of it, you guys could have up to 8 of these fucking things. So I have designed the campaign accordingly. Bear in mind that Igor Konkaro, while you guys were level 6, was able to deal up to hundreds of damage over the course of a few turns. This campaign has been designed with it in mind that you guys have some badass weapons.
Possibly. As we've lost, we lost one.
Yeah.
I think we've lost only one, like, main artifact.
Yeah, so, yeah, I just wanted to basically put that into perspective before everyone freaked out that it's overpowered.
I mean, it's quite powerful, but...
Oh, no, I'm acknowledging it's powerful. I'm just pointing out, like, basically, it's not as crazy as it sounds when the campaign is designed with you guys having a lot of items like this in mind.
We shall see.
That said, I'll get through my outro bits, but everyone who may normally tune out, stay tuned for the reveal of what the Chapter 3's title is going to be.
Let's see what my spell. I can get back my old spell.
If you want to see more of my DMing, check out twitch.tv/Grahamcrackers, GRAMECRACKERZ, for my Friday campaign, The Goldshine Investigations, at 7 o'clock Central Daylight Time, featuring a party of investigators trying to unravel a cultish conspiracy that threatens to plunge their home into war. Check out our website at officiald5hub.info, down for maintenance at the moment, but soon to be resurrected from the grave like a filthy necromancer who finally got their hands on the pistol. Check out our link in chat to join our official D5 Discord server if you want to hang out with us directly, and support our episodes posted on Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Google Podcasts, and the iHeart Podcast Network, wherever you happen to get them from. For our audio listeners, catch us live on Mondays at 9:30 Central Daylight Time on twitch.tv/Odd Tornado Productions, and check out Odd Tornado Productions official on Tumblr to find links to our other works, including our freshly recomputered Paladins Twitch channel at twitch.tv/AustinFreak123. If you enjoy what we do, please support us on Patreon. That link's about to be posted in chat, or on Ko-fi at ko-fi.com/Odd Tornado Productions, and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/TornadoOdd. The T and O are in fact capitalized. If you like this party and want to see more of them, tune in tomorrow on Tuesdays at 9:30 Central Daylight Time for our Tuesday campaign of Black Ink and Blue Blood, featuring a party of various nobles and politicians trying to unravel the political conspiracy that threatens their homeland, if they can stop stabbing each other in the back long enough to accomplish that.
No promises.
We will be taking next week off from this particular campaign, so the party can figure out what they want to do with their level ups and downtime. But still feel free to tune into our Tuesday game.
I already did it.
And
I have no idea what
I'm going to have to think about it.
And finally, for those who are still here and listening, I hope you all enjoyed Chapter 2 of Under Locks and Keys Beneath the Sands. Tune in 2 weeks for the interlude and beginnings of Chapter 3 of Under Locks and Keys, Trouble on the Tabletop.
Ooh.
Are we gonna bring back the whole third-person thing, or like, what was it? Greylock was able to read. Going to the metagaming.
What the meaning of that title will be revealed soon. But yeah, tune in for Chapter 3, Trouble on the Tabletop. Thanks to everyone at the table so much for playing. Thanks to all of you at home so much for listening and watching. And we'll see you all next week.
Bye.